The ketogenic diet, also known as keto, is a low-carb, high-fat diet. It started in the 19th century specifically to target diabetes and then went on to be used for epilepsy. In the last 20 years or so, it's gained momentum, but as a weight loss diet instead. Now, similar to paleo and the South Beach diet, keto advocates for high fat. The difference comes in when looking at the ratios. At a whopping 70 to 80% fat, keto may be the diet recommending the most fat. Hi, I'm Kim, and welcome to the Green Lab Coat. If you find any value in this video, it would help out if you liked the video, and if you're interested in improving your life, enjoy learning, and are eco-conscious, subscribe for continuous knowledge. Now, the idea behind keto is for your body to reach something called ketosis. It's where our bodies are rewired to burn fat for energy instead of carbs or glucose. Well, the idea is that if we deprive our bodies of glucose, which again is what carbs turn into, our bodies will be forced to use that energy from fat. Glucose is the main source of energy for every cell in our body, and our brains burn 25% of daily energy using glucose. Now, this is one of the reasons some experts are against low-carb diets and say we need them because our brains demand the most energy. But apparently, research has shown that ketones can supply up to 70% of the brain's energy needs, and the other 25% our bodies will grab from our livers, making it run optimally. Keto advocates maintain their positions by showing how our bodies can successfully reach ketosis with a few simple steps. Now, first, you limit your carbs and up the fats and protein. Second, do this for a few days, and during that phase, when very little carbs are left in your body, the body will grab whatever stored glucose is left, but also temporarily break down the muscle. Third, after 3 to 4 days of successfully eating this way, the glucose will be fully depleted, and you then enter the state of ketosis. This means that insulin decreases, which is a good thing, and the body starts using fat for fuel. Now, a ketogenic diet surely promotes weight loss. There are thousands, if not millions of people who have done it. And those who are big carnivores and tend to crave fattier foods are especially biased towards the diet. But still, there seems to be some unanswered questions regarding long-term effects. And because some individuals have taken matters into their own hands and made keto a lifelong thing rather than following the recommended time to be on it, they've helped expose flaws in the diet. Starting with the simplest one at number 1 is that it's hard to replicate. At the start of doing keto, maintaining that high-fat, low-carb restriction can be difficult for many, maybe even more so than other diets. The ratios require 70 to 80% fat, 10 to 20% protein, and 5 to 10% from carbs. With keto, however, you have to take it a step further. People who have actually done keto have said that eating all that fat while not upping your carbs is actually really hard. And studies that have attempted to treat epilepsy have a hard time because after a few weeks, compliance with the diet drops below 50%. Now, sure, there's meal plans out there, but when you run out of keto-friendly foods in your home, as this does happen, it's not just a matter of eating something that you shouldn't, but also the risk of getting out of ketosis after all that hard work of getting into ketosis. 2, bacon, cheese, and butter are glorified. Even though bacon and sausage are extremely processed and a type 1 carcinogen, that doesn't stop experts from recommending a plate that looks like this. You can have a healthier keto plate, but most people opt for that bacon and butter just because it's allowed. Cream cheese is seen in a lot of ketogenic desserts as well, and it's been shown time and time again that most people can't digest dairy. It raises a man's prostate cancer by 30 to 50% and promotes a cancer hormone called IGF-1. If you want in-depth knowledge of milk and the dairy industry, you can click on the video right here. 3 is that you don't get bountiful amounts of fruits and vegetables. Now, limiting keto to 5 to 10% carbs leaves room for avocado because it's a fat, but the only diversity you'll get in fruits is different kinds of berries, and healthy foods you once enjoyed, like apples and grapes, won't be an option, as it will take you right out of ketosis. And the same goes for many vegetables. There's about 10 vegetables you can eat, 5 of them being leafy vegetables. So those who prefer variety with their foods are likely to get bored after a while. Now, diversity in fruits and vegetables is important. With keto, you're not getting much of a healthy rainbow plate. 4, getting out of ketosis is difficult. Keto experts recommend you do the diet for no more than 3 to 6 months. This means that after successfully rewiring your body and getting used to ketosis for months and months, you have to find a way to get back out of ketosis, slowly introducing carbs back into your body and making your body adapt to use sugar as fuel again. This all seems very difficult and a little bit dangerous, but it's basically so your body doesn't forget how to use glucose as fuel like it's naturally required to do. 5 is that it's not sustainable. The determining factor for any diet to work is adherence. This is difficult because any form of calorie restriction will upsurge one's appetite till the weak finally relinquish. Now, this is why most diets don't work. Portion control, counting carbs, or tracking macros work temporarily, but we can't do this for the rest of our lives. And going back to the last point, even if you see yourself as a keto for lifer, you're going to have to get off the diet every 3 to 6 months and transition to how your body worked before, and then go back again into ketosis. You retrain and retrain your body, which makes it easy to get off regimen or make a mistake. Now, this is what makes some people gain the weight back. The people that I've noticed who have done this successfully have extreme willpower. They are veterans of the gym and have a background of different diets that they have accomplished successfully. Number 6, keto has proven more than once that it burns muscle. In a study conducted over 8 weeks, the group doing the ketogenic diet actually lost muscle after an 8-week resistance training program. Now, the ketogenic diet is a big claimer of losing fat only and not muscle, but experts have called muscle hypertrophy while on keto an oxymoron. 7, many doctors seem to only recommend the diet because it's easier for the patient. Now, it's common for doctors to give the patient a diet that the patient is more likely to follow, but just because someone is more likely to eat cheese, meat, and butter, it doesn't mean that they should continue and is irresponsible. 8, glucose is the preferred source of fuel. Because our brains have this constant need for fuel and make up half of our energy needs, keto is actually risky. Now, our brains can use fat as fuel as well, but fat has difficulty getting through the brain barrier. 9, the benefits seem to come from the weight loss, not the diet. Now, people have shown improved blood sugar, blood pressure, among others, but that seems to be a result of the weight loss rather than being in a state of ketosis. And you'll hear why as we continue. Now, you could lose weight by only eating fruit, only drinking water, or in any unhealthy way, and these levels will still improve in the short term. A source by harvard.edu confirmed that after 1 year, those same effects could be seen on people who lost weight a different way, meaning any other diet can provide the same. Just because one's cholesterol is better, their mortality rate could have increased. 10, it's suggested that keto can cause deficiencies because of minimal grains. Although most things can be solved with multivitamins and supplements, the prebiotics that beans and whole grains carry are in such concentrated amounts that fibers and resistant starches are there in abundance. When these prebiotics are missing from our guts, it causes negative effects, and this study here detected changes within 24 hours of eating a high-fat, low-carb diet. 17 vitamins and minerals are lacking on a keto diet. It would reportedly take a person 37,000 calories in a day to get these nutrients if they were on a ketogenic diet. 11, keto actually doesn't improve cholesterol levels. Like we just stated, any drop in weight loss is always associated with a drop in cholesterol levels in the blood. Keto is the exception. When people went on a ketogenic diet, the effects of cholesterol levels dropping were blunted, while the rest of their bodies shrunk. 12. Now, this next part is important, and that's that the keto diet was pretty much revamped by a not-so-honest person. Now, the keto diet got put to the test thanks to a top researcher in 2002. Gary Tops reintroduced it in a way some people know today when he exploded with a famous article titled, "What if it's all been a big fat lie?" I'm talking about the ones that defend it religiously, and not just to cure illnesses, but as a way of life. It helps everything and everyone. Now, he's a science journalist and has written many books. He apparently got so much recognition for that article that a major publisher came to him and said, "We will give you $700,000 if you turn this into a book." Now, did I mention that it was only the year 2022? That's like $1 million back then. So he's also faced a number of controversies in the past due to his unconventional theories, but his bias is relentless. In that same article, no one was more disappointed in the article than the experts interviewed for it. In fact, he took non-believers of saturated fat and twisted their words to make them believers of saturated fat. Cardiologist John W. Farquhar, I hope I'm saying that right, said, "Gary tricked us all into coming across as supporters of the Atkins diet," unquote. Now, which by the way is low carb, high protein. Now, I realize that Atkins and keto are different, but there are similarities, and the Atkins diet was basically what led Gary into ultimately believing and being a believer of keto. Now, other experts complained that he treated them out of context as well. Taubes later came out with a book titled The Case for Keto, and in efforts to bring his opinion to the forefront, he founded NUSI.org, where he would get researchers to test his hypothesis out for him. The results, however, were a big blow, and that leads us to number 13. The participants lost mostly water weight. Now, 17 men were confined for 30 days to be tested on using a keto diet. Now, what researchers found was that rather than losing body fat, participants were losing lean body mass, aka water weight or muscle. Now, fortunately for Taubes, he was able to profit big before the study actually came out. But soon after, funding for the company was lost. Gary's co-founder quit, and apparently the company consists of very little employees now. But wait, Kim, that doesn't necessarily mean that the diet is bad for everyone. Well, no, it doesn't. And surely there's people out there with serious illnesses who may in fact benefit from them. So we're going to take a look at how it affects people with epilepsy and other serious illnesses. And that brings us to number 14. Now, even kids with epilepsy have to be careful. Children have gotten scurvy on ketogenic diets, and it has resulted in death. Not with all of them, just some of them. Growth stunting, bone loss, and kidney stones have been reported. Now, this isn't to say that keto won't work for other kids with epilepsy, but it's important to talk about these things that have happened. And that brings me to a story of a 9-year-old child. Now, this poor girl seemed to get all the side effects that the other kids were experiencing on a ketogenic diet. She eventually got pancreatitis while on the diet and died. Now, pancreatitis can be caused by too much fat in the body, and it's not known whether the diet caused this, but keto is notorious for being high in fat. Now, she additionally had a defect of carrying blood sugar to the brain. Now, because keto fuels the brain with fat, they thought this would work, but in the end, it didn't. 15. Blood flow to the heart has shown to decrease. Now, some studies even show that within 3 hours of eating saturated fat, flow-mediated dilation decreased. Now, this was tested with both polyunsaturated and saturated fats. With polyunsaturated, think fish, oils, walnuts, flaxseed, and saturated fats are more cured meats, cake, cheese, and butter. So with even the best fats, blood flow to the heart was still altered. Now, the argument of whether diets should be low fat or high fat has been a debate for decades, and we'll save that for another video. Now, walnuts and flaxseed are healthy, but when allowing high amounts of cheese and butter into your diet, along with bacon, sausage, and extremely processed meats, you have a big bias. Even if ketones are responsible for burning all that butter, where are the nutrients? It's one of the first times that more butter is allowed than fruits and vegetables. Now, even with a drop in weight loss of 20 pounds, artery function still worsened. Additionally, blood flow to the heart was worsened on a low-carb diet and improved on a high-carb diet. 16. Animal-based foods are more deadly. It matters if the low-carb diet is animal-based or plant-based. The animal-based diet, as seen here, is more deadly by 50% per cardiovascular disease and strokes. The plant-based low-carb diet had no risks. Another study with 4,007 adults who were undergoing cardiac catheterization, which is a way to go in and look at your heart, researchers took their blood samples at the time that they were fasting. Now, the majority of participants were men, and the mean age was 63 years of age. What they found was that these blood samples, after adjusting for various other factors, was that those with higher TMAO levels had an increased risk of an event. And in another study, they took the mildest form of animal-based products, which was eggs, and the results showed that TMAO levels raised their cholesterol right after eating the hard-boiled eggs. 17 is that it increases your mortality risk. Among 29,615 participants from 6 cohort studies in JAMA, found that after 17 and a half years of follow-up, each additional half egg that was eaten per day was significantly associated with higher risk of incident cardiovascular and all-cause mortality. Additionally, there was a total of 5,400 incident CVD events, both fatal and non-fatal, and these included coronary heart disease, strokes, heart failure, and other cardiovascular deaths. 18. Unlike many have claimed, keto can't reverse type 2 diabetes. Now, keto lowers blood sugars better than other conventional diets, and keto proponents have ran with this. Now, the underlying problem of diabetes, however, has been harmed, and that's something called carbohydrate intolerance. Now, this is ultimately what makes someone a diabetic. Now, for a long time, experts have known that when you put diabetics on a high-fat diet, their carb intolerance skyrockets. Now, when you take carbs away, in the way that keto does, their sensitivity levels to carbs can almost be dangerous. Second, part of this claim is because diabetics have been weaned off their insulin while on a keto diet. However, some researchers say a person should be weaned off insulin when their body is able to eat the same foods as everybody else and be fine without it. Not just fine on a keto diet, because what's going to happen when they can't sustain it anymore? And that would be the true reversal of diabetes. 19. Keto diet has shown to progress certain cancers. Now, a common saying is that cancer feeds on sugar, but all cells feed on sugar. And a fun fact, when ketones were dripped onto breast cancer cells in a petri dish, it made a stronger form of cancer. Now, because of this, some researchers are considering ketone blocking drugs to prevent more cancer. Now, another study found progression with breast cancer and animal fat intake as well. 20. The American Cancer Association recommends a diet opposite to keto, and recommends one high in fruits, vegetables, and whole grain. To be completely honest, it seems a keto diet that is plant-based can be healthy in the short term for the average person if they want to lose weight. But they have to be sticklers, and cheat days shouldn't exist. Now, plant-based keto has shown to have some benefits, much more than regular keto, which after all this research, I'm not particularly fond of. Now, as far as higher risk individuals like those with epilepsy, it could be that the diet was too hard to sustain and therefore had these horrendous outcomes. But if it so happens that they were doing everything right and still experienced bone loss or kidney stones, then the diet isn't for them. Each child with epilepsy is so different. So if a ketogenic diet has shown to make them better and has sustained their results, then I 100% welcome to it, as their situation is totally different. The alternative to keto is brain surgery, but that has side effects in itself also. It makes sense to try keto first, and if complications happen, brain surgery should be the next option. Now, frequent seizures aren't a way to live, and something surely has to be done. Now, one of the main problems with having type 2 diabetes is they're more at risk to develop cardiovascular heart disease when eating a keto diet. And this is why some experts believe it's high fats that cause diabetes instead of sugar, but we'll save that for another video. Now, additionally, our brains don't receive fat fuel as easily as glucose fuel. Now, this is personally enough for me to stay away from the diet, along with the fact that blood flow to the heart decreases. Now, I realize this is more common with animal products, so again, a plant-based keto diet may be just fine. All in all, I think mostly lower risk individuals should be doing this. From cancer, cholesterol, and diabetes worsening, doing keto with animal products seem to do more harm than good. Now, for those who claim to be doing this for life, I would at least hope they are keeping up with the 3 to 6 month reversal of keto so your body remembers how to function on carbs. Now, a diet so high in fat can very quickly turn dangerous if the wrong person is doing it, as mentioned above. It would be so hard to only eat avocados and nuts when bacon and cheese is clearly accepted in the diet. Now, by looking at Gary Tops, the man looks great, especially for 62 years old, but looks can be deceiving. The people who live the longest are leaner with a lot less body mass. They seem to eat mostly plant-based foods, but at the same time, their risk of disease is lower, they live longer, and seem to be thriving overall. So in the end, the choice is yours.